I wish I could take credit for putting together this panel, but apparently the criteria was I have to have worked with you, I have to still like you, and I have to be somewhat excited about what you're doing. So this is like my perfect panel. So I thought, first of all, as I was looking at this group, I thought, all of them have kind of pivoted their business a bit over the last couple of years, even over the last 12 months. So I thought, and a lot of you guys in the audience might not even know what their company is. So I thought, first and foremost, what I'd do is I'm going to have them go down the line and say their name, their title, and the company name. And then I'm going to have each of them go through and give you guys a quick overview of what their company's doing in specifically to aesthetics and how that's going to revolutionize what we're doing. So why don't we start with you, Scott?
Great. Thank you, Erin, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. As Erin mentioned, I'm Scott Jorgensen. I'm the CEO of Appiell AI. And Appiell is revolutionizing clinical trial studies, management, and administration, as well as we're launching a new product this year called Consumer Experience Research. And over the past 4 years, the company has spent time and resources building out a state-of-the-art clinical study platform for phase 1 through phase 3 studies. But in addition to that, we've also developed a platform that really revolutionizes the way that product manufacturers, companies can launch new products through gathering, valuable experience from patients, being able to enable patients to take control of their results, documenting those results over time in a HIPAA standardized platform, and then be able to share and post those results with the providers or with their friends. What we've experienced over the past 6 months as we've launched this product is tremendous excitement, really from the aesthetic community. It's really never been done before, candidly. And if you think about the success that, the companies like Allergan, for example, when they launched Jupiter, one of the most successful product launches in our industry, and they were able to tap into capturing that experience that's so important to the patients, documenting those assessments and results, and then being able to publish those results and capture and use that as a way and a mechanism for capturing market share. What we're finding now at Appiell is being able to provide that type of an experience trial to every manufacturer that wishes to launch a product and provide that experience as part of their launch. And what we are finding with that is that it's so much more powerful and so much more profound when you can put that now in the hands of the patients versus going to a rep or the provider and saying, hey, can you launch this product for me, and expecting them to give you some type of product advocacy or champion. But rather, if you could do that in a way that would be a turnkey solution for them. And that's what we're doing here at Appiell.
That's awesome. Thanks, Scott. All right, Sean, we heard a little bit from you earlier. See if you can switch it up, make it a little different.
Yeah, well, thank you, Erin. And I'm Sean Shapiro. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of MedShift. I've been with the company for the past 2 years. And I think I'll start with a little story about how MedShift got started. Our founder is a tech guru that sold his business to cloud-based security technologies when it was never such a thing. Made a lot of money and met a family that was in aesthetics back selling Solta and Allergan in the North Carolina area. They came, like everything, over a good beer, had an idea that the co-founder could not place liposonics devices in plastic surgery offices because they couldn't get financed. So our founder said, I'll buy those devices from you directly, but I want to do something different. I want to put a technology on there and do a pay-per-click model or pay-per-use model before any of this was done. Well, they did that without talking to the manufacturers and just doing it in short-sighted. And they did this about 15 or 20 devices in the marketplace until the manufacturer found out and said, you can't open up my system and do this. And that's what started the business. Ultimately, and from that, they sold the consumables. He would buy in bulk and get great discounts and took those consumables for those devices and sold it back to those customers that were renting it from him or using the pay-per-click model. And that's really what started MedShift. So MedShift really has 3 stools to their business. The first is our device financing, and it's all centered around technology because of our founder. So the majority of our employees are developers. So we have an in-house development team that really does unbelievable work with the technology stack that we have. So like I said earlier, we have, for the device financing, we have an underwriting tool that's really going to revolutionize how you process and get access to capital. The second part of it is that store I mentioned earlier. truly it's the Amazon of aesthetics. You go shop at an e-commerce store, we pass on our savings because we buy in bulk or we work out deals with our manufacturing partners. We make sure that we are price sensitive and no channel conflict with reps. Everything is backed by our software, and we offer great solutions in that. And then our third part is our IoT products, where we make devices come to life and report back.
That's awesome. Okay. Thanks, Sean. Hi, Vojin.
Hey, how you doing?
Your company had a different name.
Pardon me?
Your company used to have a different name.
We do, yeah. So it's nice to be back. I'm Vojin Kos. It's nice to be back at AIS. I was here previously, first with HintMD and then with Friend Media. And Friend Media is now Vrtly. So Vrtly is the future of content distribution in aesthetics and really in all of cash pay healthcare. We're the first point-of-care advertising platform that allows practices and brands to advertise harmoniously. And what we really mean by that is essentially in the past, when you look at point-of-care advertising platforms, it's really just the pharmaceutical companies being able to speak to consumers in practices through the TV, and the physician has never really had any say. And that's never really taken off in cash pay healthcare, primarily because the physician cares about the products on the TV. And so what we're doing as a company is we've created a free point-of-care advertising channel where physicians can still download the Vrtly app just like you could Netflix on your TV into your practice. You can immediately access a library of all the brands in our industry, so you can start playing content from all of the brands, and we make that seamless and easy for practices to do. On the other end of it, from the brand's perspective, we provide the brands the access to the library. And so if you're a brand, you can log in right now at Vrtly, you can upload your content, download your content, take down old stuff, and immediately it will go live across thousands of practices in the country. And so essentially, this is something that has worked in other parts of healthcare, but has never really had an opportunity to fly in aesthetics. And we're seeing great growth. We have over 3,000 practices that have signed up for Vrtly already, and we're continuing to grow at about 40% a year right now. So we know we're getting great feedback from practices. They love it. This is something that used to be a huge pain for them. And from brands as well, we now have a real-time advertising channel inside the practice. And in this day and age when targeting one-to-one with consumers is so difficult, it's so nice to be able to know that you have a captive audience that are absolutely aesthetics consumers. It's the right people, the right time. So excited to be back, and thanks for letting us tell you about it.
Thanks, Vojin. Lloyd, you also have a new company name since last time we heard from you.
It's in the water today. Yesterday, I was the CEO of Engage Technology. It was the combination of a merger between Apex Digital and Engage Technologies, focusing on both patient education and practice optimization. Trying to manage 5 brands was really tough. We decided to rebrand the company. And so this morning, on the press release, we launched Clarity Technologies. So I'm delighted to be here today. In full disclosure, I'm not from the industry. I cut my teeth at a small company in Cupertino called Appiell. Spent a lot of time running Apple education worldwide, and began to think about 3 years ago how we can bring some of these emerging technologies back into the aesthetics world. So today, with the merger, we actually do 3 things. We do patient education, patient loyalty, and practice optimization. We do that in a very automated fashion. And today we work with about 800 practices. We're working with about 15 PE groups. We're now in 10 countries around the world. And as of this morning, we've served 1.7 million patients with our platform. So we're pretty excited to be here. Quick overview on Clarity. Thank you.
Congratulations. So I know you guys, a lot of your companies dabble outside of the aesthetic space, but since we're here at the Aesthetic Innovation Summit, let's talk about if you were to nail one pain point that your company or your technology is going to solve for aesthetics or for the practice or for the patient, what would that be? If I jump over Vojin, Vrtly, what is the one pain point you think you're solving in aesthetics?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. For us, it's digital content distribution across aesthetics. So if you think about it from a practice perspective, the amount of effort it takes prior to Vrtly to get content from a brand and onto your TV. So first off, 70% of our industry, of practices in our industry, have TVs or screens somewhere in their practice, whether it's in the lobby, the waiting room, or in the treatment room. And these practices have these TVs, yes, to entertain their patients and shorten the wait time, but primarily to advertise the services they offer and educate patients in an effort to grow their revenue. But if you try to get the content from the brands and put it onto the TV, talk to any practice, and it's miserable. You have to go and get it from multiple USB sticks or practice portals, put it onto one consolidated USB stick. I mean, it takes a lot of effort, and really within weeks or months, it's completely outdated. And they have to do this whole process again. And most of them don't because they're so frustrated with it. And so what Vrtly is really solving from the practice perspective is we allow them to have this all seamlessly done where you can just download an app. Within a couple minutes, a month, you can really customize it, set up before and after photos, your own custom content, and we manage that for them and get all of the brand stuff in one library. The reason why this hasn't worked in the past is because nobody is given what we have a patent around, which we call two-way consent. And so with two-way consent, we allow the practices to say, yes, I want to advertise that product. I don't that one. So if you were going to try to run Dysport commercials for an Allergan loyalist or Botox commercials and a Dysport loyalist, it's not going to work. And so what we allow is the practice to designate which brands they will allow to run on their TV. From the brand's perspective, likewise, you have an immediate channel available at your fingertips. And again, you're investing millions of dollars into creating content that you want to play in practices for the intent of selling your procedures, but you have no way to get it into the practices without giving it to an army of thousands of reps that are walking around with USB sticks or downloading from portals. And most importantly, you have absolutely no idea where that's being played. And so you don't even know if it's working, if you can engage with it. Well, today, you can now just log into Vrtly, set up an ad campaign the exact same way that you would on Facebook or Google. And you can say, hey, I want to increase my reach and frequency by 30% in plastic surgeons' offices. And you can do that today at Vrtly. And so that's really the problem that we're solving. And then from a brand perspective, I think one last thing is the reason why this hasn't flown in the past is because technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. With connected TV and the future, or the innovation of apps, we can now see which TVs are on and off. We have a bunch of partners that allow us to very accurately be able to see exactly how many patients are in the practices and their dwell time. And so we can actually say, here's how many people you've reached, here's, all the metrics that you need to know how to run campaigns. And so the problem that we're solving is content distribution. And honestly, within a couple of years, like everyone will be using the platform because distributing the USB sticks doesn't make sense anymore. So
I unfortunately was delivering those USB sticks in my past life, so I do appreciate the pain point you're fixing there. Lloyd, what about you? What do you think as far as the number one pain point that you're solving for?
Well, I think one of the big problems with all the digital media and things you deal with nowadays is that humans have the attention span of goldfish, maybe actually a little bit less than that. And so the challenge in trying to educate them on your procedures, getting them to show up, getting them to make a decision sooner, is how do you get them to pay attention to that? You have to tell them a story, but you have to deliver it right when they care about it, and it's got to come from the trusted provider. So it's really important to design content flowing to the patient that's going to educate them at the right moment, get them to show up, make a decision, and be trusting the provider when they walk in. That's an interesting challenge, especially when you're trying to deliver it with all the different technology platforms. So I think the big pain point is how do you educate the patient? But here's the other side. Millennials are pouring into the workforce now. They're not as loyal as the other people used to be. They turn over faster. You've got to hire them. You've got to train them. You've got to remediate them again. They learn the same way. They have very short attention spans. So you have to build technologies that can make them engage and remember and reaccess that technology. The last thing is you have to disappear as a technology. You have to be completely invisible. It's got to be they're talking to the provider, they believe in the provider, and they're getting it right when they need to. That's the pain point, and that's what we're trying to solve.
Totally agree. Scott, back over to you. We'll leapfrog you for a sec, Sean. What do you think, Scott?
So the pain point for us is that we've identified a gap. And this gap is that when you launch a product, say, for example, you're a cosmeceutical company or a laser company, and the first thing that the practice is going to say or the doctor is going to say is, well, show me the data. Where are your testimonials? Let me see your before and afters, right? And if you've gone through a 510K route or something less rigorous than some full PMA, clinical study, right, you may be lacking some large compendium of experience data. This is where a company like Appiell can help sort of fill in that gap for you by providing our turnkey solution, where you can now provide our mobile application to your practice providers, to their patients, and then within a matter of months, be capturing thousands of images that then have documented visual measurement and tracking of their progress and results over time. It's pretty powerful. And then from there is being able to have that now as a happy patient that's transformative, right, through this hopefully great treatment that you can then capture and share back either with the manufacturer or share back with the practice. There's just a number of ways that then you can amplify and build off of this type of a technology. And then again, it's done in a secure, safe, HIPAA compliant, built on a platform that has the rigor of conducting phase 1 through phase 3 studies, but it has an ease of use similar to all the types of apps that you're using today on your mobile phone. So we believe that's a huge experience gap that Appiell today is addressing. And then fast forward, now you have access to these images. Let's say you're a manufacturer here in the room. What if I was to apply AI on top of those images and be able to now do predictive analytics and assessment of those images going forward? Be pretty interesting diagnostic tools and assessment tools then you could be providing to patients and providers based on your technology, given the power that we are aware of with artificial intelligence.
That's a really good point. Okay, Shap, Sean, what's MedShift solving for, number one?
What a great question, Erin. Great question. There's so many things that we do solve for, but if I narrow this down, when we talk to a lot of our manufacturer partners, one of the biggest pain points we hear over and over when we customize software solutions for them is their operational inefficiencies taking an order. So when they place an order, what they've learned if they have an e-commerce site, the sales force isn't engaging into the e-commerce site. It's not getting passed on to the practice to order and create those channels or the way to order where people want. And so what we found was that is related to commissions. A rep wants to control everything and control how they're getting paid. So they're not going to drive an e-commerce site if they don't know how they can control it or see what they're going to make. So in our Velocity software has really solved that major pain point by automating a commission calculation immediately for the rep in the field to place that order by themselves on the e-commerce site or calling customer service and make that go fast and effective and really grow. And then from the manufacturer's perspective, you don't have to scale. You can be more effective. You can be more costly. And so those are a big pain point we've seen. And then other things with that Velocity software, like shipping. I never knew anything about this, but like FedEx, UPS, our software looks at all of that and then makes that a profit center because it does the shopping for you. These are all automated things that you can do that a lot of our industry partners don't even realize they can do and have tremendous savings. And so I think Velocity software is really going to change how the manufacturers go to business and be more operational efficient.
Well, the sales reps in the room love that.
Yeah.
Compensation drives behavior. That's awesome. So, all right. So in closing, I want to ask you guys all the same question one more time, Since none of you guys compete, I don't see any of your companies as competitive with each other. I think you guys bring different solutions to the space that are all needed and all differentiated in their own way. I'm going to take a version of whether it was Philippe or Grant who came up with the statement of the crystal ball. They can battle that out over lunch. But looking into the future, though, and looking at the future of aesthetics, what do you think your company is going to do to impact how things look in the next 3 to 5 years? It's a funny time in the market, 25 plus years in this space. I can say I feel like we're in a little bit of unprecedented waters in many ways. And what do you think your companies are going to do to impact that future of aesthetics in the next period of years? And Sean, we'll stay on you for a sec.
Thank you. Another wonderful question.
Oh, geez.
And also, I do not like Grant's crystal ball. I like your question much better, Erin.
Oh, thanks.
But I truly think MedShift is really going to modernize the way we go to business. I talked earlier about some of our offerings. One of our most exciting ones, being a capital guy, the underwriting process on an app, being able to do that and control that process really changes the game for not only the doctor, but for the manufacturer and the rep out there to get an instant approval or an instant denial to know where they stand. I think our software platform and our IoT platform that we offer really modernizes the way you look at the business and and really can cut the costs from having the scale or the expense of hiring field-based service people. So I think all of that's going to really help the future of our industry, because what I believe is that we have to change and innovate because times are difficult. Access to capital is harder. Things are, it's not as 20 years ago, everything was new. We didn't even touch the body. Now that we have 5 different body devices. So I think that innovation in technology is going to be really key. And the last thing, if I didn't say, is the Amazon store that we're doing for aesthetics, I think is completely unique and completely a game changer, not only for the practice, but for the manufacturers to open up a new channel for them and not have to have expensive practice development people and really hurt their profit margins for the future.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Lloyd, we'll leapfrog over to you.
Well, I think that technology is going to continue to impact you in 4 ways. One is automation is going to get faster. Integration is going to get easier. Education is going to become more important. And AI is going to be the biggest thing you have to deal with. What do I do with it? What is it really? And how do I educate my staff? The last thing is you're going to see your staff begin to diminish because more and more of the systems are going to take over. So I think that's kind of the big changes that are coming. I would caution all of you on AI, though, because as someone who's in this a long time, I'll just mention this one thing. AI is a computer programmed by humans. It moves very fast. It scrapes up a lot of information and delivers it very quickly, but it doesn't think. And a lot of your patients think it does. And I think that's one of the challenges you're going to face is making sure that as they come in and talk about what ChatGPT told them about their diagnosis, is you're going to have to kind of manage that. And that's something I think that we're focused on as well, is how do we educate staff and maybe your patients what that really means.
That's a good point. Thank you, Lloyd. Scott, over to you.
Think about all the different apps you use today to track your fitness. How about the apps you use today to track your diet, your macros, to stay healthy? What app do you use today to track your aesthetic treatment? Documenting your results, that transformative journey. I think that's the future of where aesthetics is going to go in the future, but not just that. Think about what Lloyd just said about artificial intelligence. Now that we can capture thousands, if not millions of images of these before and after results, and then having that as a times elapsed spectrum of healing or response, that you're not just capturing within, say, a phase 2 or 3 study. Like, this is happening every day, and these images are being fed into applications daily by your patients. And then having that engine being able to receive all of that data being analyzed and then being able to use that for predictive analytics and possibly diagnosis, right? So in the next 5 to 10 years, right, I believe you're going to have applications where folks are going to be interested in doing a procedure. They'll take a picture of a body part, and then it'll provide some type of predictive visualization or analytic and possibly a recommendation to a list of products that they can go to address whatever concern or interest that they have.
I like that. That's great. All right, Vojin, bring us home.
So I really think what we're going to see is a dramatic improvement of conversion inside the practice marketing-wise due to the channel that we're creating with Vrtly. And the reason I believe that is because, first and foremost, the brands in our industry today have sophisticated marketing teams, but they don't really have an in-practice effective way to talk to patients today. If you think about it, again, it's really broken today, and they're distributing messaging through reps and bringing it to practices, et cetera. The practices themselves, for the most part, want to trust the brands and would love for those sophisticated marketing people to help convert people inside of their practices. but there needs to be some sort of limitations there, right? They need to be able to opt in and opt out of things. And so when you think about what we've actually done, we've created a way where practices can essentially opt in or out of campaigns or specific brands talking to their patients. What that does is it allows the marketing teams at these sophisticated companies to go ahead and control the marketing, right? Now, picking Allergan, and for instance, who has such a, big marketing team behind it, they can actually go and engage at the practice level and do real-time promotions and see what's working. And all of a sudden, they can do that for their practices. And that's because they'll have a real-time channel available to them. So to me, what I think is going to happen is these brands and practices are going to advertise together better, like we said, harmoniously. And they're going to leave the sophisticated marketing to the teams inside of the companies, and they're going to get to reap the benefits of it at the practice level. And they can go back to selling procedures and performing the treatments. So
it's a big deal. Well, I want to thank you guys. 4 companies with great innovation and advancements to the business of aesthetics. So thank you guys. Thanks everybody for listening.